What's up, you guys? What's up? Hello, YouTube. Hello, supporters, friends, whomever you may be. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a brief video. As you guys know, I've been trying to keep my vlogging to a minimal as far as the time that I spend on the vlog. 20-30 minutes max. That's what I've been trying to focus on. And I've been trying to focus on things that will help us heal as women, as people, to help us heal. That's what our vlogs, or my vlogs, have been based on here on Sugar Salon TV. And full disclosure, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. My profession is actually a hairstylist. I'm a licensed hairstylist, but I am someone who was saying in the 11th grade that I wanted to be a psychiatrist, and has, because of that passion and that care and love and concern for people, I have been studying mental disorders and behavioral disorders for probably about 8 years on my own. Just researching it and studying it on my own. So this topic came up, my husband and I, we was talking, and our anniversary, we just celebrated 19 years of marriage on August the 14th of this year, 2022, and we were talking. And he was telling me how he definitely did not want to marry a woman who was bitter. He had, during the time when he was dating, he said he was meeting a lot of women that were bitter. And he knew right offhand, right away, that he didn't want to marry a woman that was bitter. And he said when he met me, he realized that I was not bitter. So it kind of brought up, a kind of deep conversation that he and I had. And then it made me think of this topic called bitterness. So I'm going to do this series, and again, as I am a hairstylist, you're probably wondering, why do I put topics out like, stress, about, just a variety of things I put out here, about, how we relate to others and how we relate to the world. Simply because if you think about it, all of those things can end up causing stress, and they can cause also negative effects on your hair. So if we get ourselves together as a woman, as a man, as whomever we are as a person, then we definitely won't have problems with our hair if we do what we need to do to take care of the internal, the mental health, and the other things that we may go through from time to time being a human being. So this topic, as I mentioned, my husband and I, we talked about bitterness. And so it made me think of, okay, I need to start a series on bitterness. And so bitterness, what is bitterness? So if you look it up in the dictionary or online, if you Google it, it's going to say that bitterness is anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly. And it also has that it means resentment. So when you look up the word resentment, it's going to say bitter indignation of being treated unfairly. Resentment is bitter indignation of being treated unfairly. Bitterness is defined as anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly. So who wants to be treated unfairly? Nobody does. Nobody wants to be treated unfairly. Nobody wants to be mistreated. Nobody wants to be done wrong. Nobody wants to be harmed. Who wants to be? Nobody. So nobody's signing up, ooh, I want to be mistreated. Ooh, I want to be done unfairly. Ooh, I want to end up being treated badly. But in life, sometimes things happen and we are treated those ways. But when we are treated those ways, what happens is it's going to be how you relate to the treatment. It's going to be how you relate to it. Whether you, what ends up happening to you. Like what harvest does it bring forth from the seed of bitterness that have been planted? What is the outcome? What is your harvest? So that's going to be determined by the ground that the seed of bitterness was sown in or planted in. So basically, the ground is you. So when someone treats you in a mean way, or they treat you in an unfair way, or they treat you, some kind of way that's not fair or wrong towards you, that hurts you, then it's going to be all about how you see it, what you do with it, how you relate to it, and whether or not you become bitter or not. This is just an introduction right here. I'm going to do a whole series on bitterness, and we can all learn as we go, including myself, a series on this topic called bitterness. And so bitterness, again, it's just anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly. So bitterness, that's what happens when you are treated wrong or you are disappointed, and then you become bitter is how you relate to it. So bitterness is not going to just come like immediately. It's going to be something that happens over time, because the more you ponder on it, the more you mull it around in your head and your heart and your spirit and your soul, the more that you do that, then the more of an opportunity that bitterness can manifest, where bitterness can end up being, where you're just not happy, you just not happy for others. You start feeling like, okay, I see this one over here happy, that one over there happy, and you're so bitter that you don't want to celebrate other people's happy times and their happy moments. You don't want to celebrate it with them because you're so engulfed and so engaged into what happened to you. And it could be something that happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago, or longer. And you are just very, very, very bitter, to where it changes your personality, it changes your behavior, it changes your character, it changes you as a person, and it also changes your mindset and how you relate to others, and how, the happiness or the lack thereof that you have towards someone else who may be having a happy moment and want you to celebrate that with them, but you're not celebrating it with them because you're bitter about what happened. And the bitterness, it can just affect all aspects and other areas of your life. It can definitely affect the outcome in the other areas of your life. Just the bitterness, just the unhappiness. And so unhappiness is one thing, but when you become bitter, that's a whole other level of the unhappiness. It's another level of it. And so it turns into this thing where you just have, where it's visible to others who are around you. Your energy, your vibe, your aura, all of that is affected by the bitterness that you hold on to, that you harbor, and that you may not even realize that you're operating in. You may not even realize that you have become bitter. And by you not doing your due diligence and not, being cognizant of it And other people, they can see it, they can feel it, they can sense it. You know, if you're someone who is single and you want to be married, you know, the men, they can pick up on it. You know, they can really pick up on the fact that, okay, she's bitter. You know, okay, he's bitter over here, you know. And basically all it is you're just upset and angry about, again, the definition said, anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly. Anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly. So it's no fault of your own. It's not your fault that somebody treated you, you know, unfairly, and that you are angry and that you are disappointed about it. But we all are human, so we can be angry and disappointed at things in our life that happens. We're all going to be angry and disappointed at some point in time with something that may have occurred in our life. But the whole thing of it is being able to move forward. Because if you linger in that and you marinate in that, it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a part of your personality. It becomes a part of who you are. And when people think of you and they say, okay, Jane Doe, she's so bitter. Like, she's never happy. She's always angry. Like, she seems so bitter. Like, she told me about this guy that she dated, and you know, he did this and this and this, that and the third to her, and she seems like she can't move on. Like, she's very angry. And it became bitterness. So, you know, people can see that in us when we're operating in those ways, in that manner. So we want to first identify it in ourselves before other people start identifying it in us. And when we're operating in bitterness, we can't move forward. Like, it stops you, like right in your tracks. It stops you. And you cannot move forward. You cannot progress. And it can become a part of a self-sabotaging behavior because you just really can't move forward. Like, you can't go forward in a relationship. You can't go forward in a friendship. It will start to hinder you in other areas of your life. It will become a hindrance. So bitterness. None of us want to operate in that way. None of us want to operate in that manner. None of us want to wait until that anger builds up and until it manifests and becomes bitterness. Just bitter. I mean, and when you're around people and you're listening to them talk, it's one thing to talk about the things that have happened to you in the past. I mean, if you're around someone who you feel like you can trust, or if you feel like they relate to what you've been through because they've been through something similar, then you may share that. But when you're listening, when you put your listening ears on, you can hear, and not that you're judging people, but you can hear when it sounds like it has become bitterness because it has overwhelmed every aspect of their life, and they seem to be stuck right there in that moment. And you have to make a decision, and sometimes it have to be a tough decision that you won't let that person, whomever it is, it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter. It does not matter who it is. You don't want that spirit of bitterness to grab hold of your heart, your soul, your spirit, your mind, even your body. You don't want that spirit of bitterness to manifest to where you can't move on. And it don't matter who caused you to be bitter. It doesn't matter. And not that you hate the person that caused you to become bitter, but you have to move on, because at the end of the day, you can't control other people. You can only control you, and I can only control me. We can't control them. And so a lot of things that happen in our life that makes us angry and that can make us bitter, It's because we're looking at another person. We can only control us. We can't control what they did to us, how they mistreated us, how they treated us unfairly. Yeah, they did all that, but at the end of the day, we can't control what they did. That's the past. We can't control who they are. That's who they are. We can only control us, how we relate to it, how it affects us, how we change, how we come up out of it, and how we move on. Because sitting and marinating in it is just going to make it worse and worse. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, you're going to realize that you are a bitter person who are lingering and holding on to things that happened way back. And sometimes we may not even know that we're operating in this behavior. We may not even know that we're bitter. You know, we may feel like we're a little bit angry about what somebody did to us or something. But we have to move on. And the only way that we can move on is if we make a decision in our heart that we're going to move on. That's the only way we're going to be able to move on. Nobody else can move you on but you. Nobody else can move me on but me. There are all kinds of things that happen in my life. A lot of trauma that I've been through. A lot. Most people have been through some type of trauma. But I can become I had a choice whether to get healed from it, delivered from it, set free from it, or become a bitter woman who won't be any good to myself, any good to anybody else. And when I say that, I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about you. I'm speaking about myself. I feel like if I hold on and harbor on to bitterness and it becomes a stronghold for me, then I'm not going to be beneficial to my husband, to the clients who come and sit in my chair. That's for me. That's a decision that I made about myself. Now you have to determine for yourself, what will the bitterness do for you and how will it affect you? For me, I'm saying that I'm not going to be a benefit to my husband if I'm always bitter and angry. Because when we're bitter, it's not going to manifest peace, joy, and all of that. It's not going to manifest those positive outcomes. It's going to make us where we're angry, we're sad, we don't want to see other people happy. We have a hard time and a challenge for us to be happy when other people are happy, or to celebrate other people when they're having a great time, or when they're having a great marriage, or when they're in a great relationship, because we're always going to be looking at us and be like, well, he did this to me, you know, I didn't have a great relationship. So it's going to be more of a challenge to celebrate when others. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm saying this could be the case. It could be the case where you're having a challenge celebrating happiness and joy with others, because you're always in the back of your mind thinking about what happened to you. And so this whole series is going to be brief segments. I'm going to add it to my playlist called, I'm not sure what I'm going to title it, but it will have bitterness in the title. It will be a playlist. And I will gradually add vlogs to it that I'm hoping and I'm praying will help you move forward in your life. Again, full disclosure, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. I'm a woman who loves people and who have compassion towards people, and who has been wanting to be a psychiatrist since the 11th grade. and who have studied mental and behavioral disorders for about 8 years, I believe. It could be more than that, but I know at least 8. Studying it on my own, and still would like to go to school or take some online classes for it. But it's so much information online and so much information in books, a plethora of information, that if any of us have the willingness, the heart, and the intention of helping others, there's all kind of ways that we can learn just on our own. And so just the conversation that my husband and I had, it made me think about bitterness. And so I'm hoping and I'm praying that this very brief video will help spark in you just the ability and the willingness to want to move forward, to take a look at yourself and see how has bitterness hindered you in any kind of way, in any friendship, relationship, job, marriage, engagement, whatever the situation or circumstance may be. Hopefully this will spark something in you to take a look. Get a diary, go to Five Below, go to the Dollar Tree, or if you don't already have a diary or just a notepad where you can write things down. And you can take an assessment of your own life and see if you have had any areas where you feel like bitterness may have manifested and where bitterness, presides. Because once you find it, then you can do something about it. Once you acknowledge it, then you can do something about it. When you go out here and you take advantage of it, then you can do something about it. When you are real and honest and true with yourself, then you can do something about it. When you are accountable, then you can move forward. Like these behaviors that I just named, that's what helps us heal. When we look at ourselves, yeah, we can see what other people did to us. We can remember and recall so easily what somebody did to harm us or how somebody treated us unfairly. We can write down and jot down all the things that happened in our life where someone treated us wrong, badly, or unfairly. Now we need to take an assessment of how we are handling it. We need to look at how we're handling it so that we can move forward. What I always say when I do my Instagram lives on Sugar Salon on Instagram is, don't give people power. Don't give people power to make you behave in a certain way, change your character to be in a certain way. I mean, people are going to be who they are, and everyone's out here healing. Everybody got their own set of traumas and got their own reasons that they need to be healed, or have their own things that they're trying to get over, and their own things that they're trying to move forward. The only difference is a lot of times people don't come to you nowadays and just say, oh, I'm sorry. Like, people have a hard time to do that. Like, people have a hard time doing that, like saying, okay, I'm sorry I did that to you. Like, you're going to be few and far between. You're going to be hard pressed finding somebody who will just admit sometime when they're wrong or come back to you and apologize. So with that being the case, we have to take an assessment of ourselves, because sometimes people they're not out here apologizing. Some people just are not. Whatever the reason is, so we can't look to people to solve what's going on with us internally, because you may never get closure at all. And so we have to learn how to heal without the closure. There's things that happen to me too that I have no idea why. All I poured out is love and support, but all I got back was something totally opposite of what I put out. And you're not going to always get closure. And we have to learn how to move on, because this is the day and time where it's no closure a lot of times. Because people are not coming and apologizing anymore. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying this is not the day and time where people will just easily and readily just tell you, I'm sorry, that was wrong how I treated you, I handled you wrongly, I probably caused bitterness in your life, that was wrong what I did to you. It's rare, very rare that people are gonna come and admit their wrongs to another person, especially to the person that they wronged. So we have to learn how to heal without hearing their side of the story, without hearing that apology, without hearing them or having them come to us and be accountable. We have to learn how to heal without that, because it's not going to always be a perfect situation. It's not always. Like they're not going to always come to you and apologize. And a lot of times the people who we're waiting on an apology from, they don't even feel like they've done anything wrong to us. So you're sitting there just marinating in the anger and the bitterness and all of that. Because bitterness doesn't happen overnight. It's something that manifests, and it takes time to get to there, to where you're bitter, because you're not moving on. You're lingering and you're marinating in something that somebody else caused to you. So you're giving people power. Do not, take your power back. Do not let bitterness manifest. Do not let anger, don't marinate in it. And whether they come back and apologize to you or not, whether you get that closure or not, move ahead, move on, go forward. Press forward. So again, I'm keeping it really brief. I hope you like what you see on my channel, Sugar Salon TV. If you do, please smash the subscribe button. Please drop a comment down below. Click the bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload another video on bitterness. I'm going to have a whole series on this in a playlist. Even click the bell if you want to see some of my hair tutorials or videos. Click the bell for that. Drop a comment, or if you subscribe to my channel, which I hope that you do, just put down in the comments subscribed, so that I will know that you subscribed to my channel and you're a new subscriber, and then I can thank you for subscribing. But definitely subscribe if you like what you hear on my channel and what you see on my channel, because I will be continuing on in this journey called life. And then anytime I do Instagram Lives, you can join me there. My Instagram is Sugar Salon. Usually when I'm doing a live, I'm talking about, things that can help us all, whether it be hair, whether it be emotional, whatever the case may be. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief video. This is my opening vlog for bitterness. So stay tuned for more. And thank you in advance for subscribing and watching my other videos too. You have a wonderful, positive, blessed week. And don't forget to stay safe and be blessed and be encouraged. Thank you for watching. See you soon on the next video.